Hello, BookTube. A little while ago, my friend Grammaticus Books over on his great BookTube channel, I'll leave a link to his channel down below. A little while ago, he made a video in which he mentioned that a video that he had just filmed was not going to get uploaded because it had broken one of the 3 laws of BookTube. And he got a lot of responses about that from people saying, but Grammaticus, what are the 3 laws of BookTube? So he made a video. I'll leave a link to the specific video called The 3 Laws of BookTube, in which he lays out his own personal Asimov's laws of robotics for BookTube. And I want to go over his laws, but I also want to elaborate on them. Obviously, when you're laying down the law, you don't make 3 laws, no matter how big a science fiction fan you are, no matter how big an Asimov fan you are. What Grammaticus is clearly forgetting is our time together as grade school students at Our Lady of Perpetual Lamentation. If you're going to lay down the law, you lay down 10 commandments, not 3 laws. He's such a nerd. Well, I want to go over his laws first, before I get onto the 10 commandments of BookTube. Law number 1 for him is concentrate on books. Nobody cares what you had for breakfast. Nobody wants you digressing about reproductive rights or the weather or anything like that. I had to smile when he was saying this law because, of course, I break it every day. And I liberally encourage other people to break it as well. But I can see it. I can understand why it would be a law. His law number 2 is be interesting, and we're going to come back to this in my 10 commandments. And his law number 3, or number 1, actually, the most important law of all for him on BookTube is to be nice. Which, again, I sometimes break. I sometimes break all of those rules. Actually, I believe that I break all 3 of his laws of BookTube on a regular basis. I frequently digress. Now, sometimes those digressions will get so bad that even to my own ear, I will think, okay, well, now that you're pausing to take a breath and wipe the foam off your face, you've got to delete this video. Your viewers love your digressions, but they don't love that much of a digression. Sometimes that will get so bad that I will do that. There are plenty of times where it doesn't. And thing number 2 connects with the quintessential universal mystery of this channel, which I don't usually watch my own videos. I don't usually go and rewatch them. I don't save them. I don't understand people who save their videos. But sometimes I will go back. Like if somebody tells me you missaid something or you miscounted, that, to put it mildly, can happen. I can miscount something. I will go back and watch a video of mine, and I am always left with 2 questions. And one of the questions is, why would anybody watch this? Why would anybody watch this video? So I think I probably break law number 2 quite a bit. And also law number 3. I'd like to think that I am unfailingly nice to other booktubers, but I'm not often nice to books. And before any of you start to pipe up that I'm never nice to my producer, that's CPL Radio Public Library, Public Library Radio, okay? That's not BookTube. That's something else. I'm never nice to him, and he never deserves it. But those were Grammaticus's 3 laws of BookTube, basically his Grammarabi's code. But I want to expand it into 10 commandments of BookTube. And we'll start with number 1. And of course, commandment number 1 flies directly in the face of Grammaticus Books, but what are frenemies for? Commandment number 1. I'm giving you 10 commandments here, so I will go from thou shalts to thou shalt nots and back again, rather than have them all be thou shalt nots. And commandment number 1 is thou shalt not slurp. And this definitely applies to munching as well. And belching, and burping, and, I don't know, waxing your mustache, or flushing the toilet. You're making, most of you, a 10-minute video once a week. I think you can probably, if you try real hard, make that video without indulging in a bodily function, for Pete's sake. I'm pretty sure that you can talk for 15 minutes without pausing to Marco Rubio style awkwardly chug water. I'm pretty sure you can do that. I don't want to listen to you awkwardly gurgle slurping whatever you happen to bring on camera. So, commandment number 1, thou shalt not slurp. Commandment number 2 is thou shalt prepare. And I don't mean here artificially. because we're going to get to that in later commandments as well. I mean here just the basics. Is there a steam pipe right here in your video? So that you're talking, but anyone with half a brain can tell that the only thing anyone's ever going to be thinking about is the steam pipe that's right here. Is there a weird figure, not Erasmus, but a living person, standing not quite off camera in your background, not moving and not saying anything? Well, okay, you want to prepare your setting, a bit of your lighting, a tiny bit of your equipment, and also maybe a little bit more to the point, you want to prepare your subject matter a little. I'm not saying that you have to be a doctoral dissertation on whatever subject you're talking about, but you have to prepare a little. If you're going to talk about a book, a particular book, you should know about that book at least a little. You shouldn't be getting halfway into what you're calling a review of a book and say, yeah, the main character, he has trouble with his nephew, or is it his son? Or maybe it's his identical twin. I don't know, it's been a week since I read the thing. No. That's fine for your journal or a conversation with friends. But as we're going to get to, there is a public element involved in what you're doing here. You are filming yourself. And it takes 2 seconds. So that's the kind of preparing that I'm talking about. Not to make a big artificial production out of it, but a little bit of preparation. Are you fully in view of the camera? Do you have anything weirdly distracting in the background? I have a bugaboo myself about things in the background. It might not be as distracting for other people. I cannot stand it when people have light fixtures or worse, whirling ceiling fans that appear to be growing out of their head because you just haven't taken a fraction of a second to disalign things so that it doesn't look that way, so that you don't have something growing out of the back of your head. Also, I can't stand an ominous open dark doorway. It's amazing to me how many people, not just on BookTube, but on video conferences of any kind, do that. On professional video conferences, I sometimes actually just playfully say, I wonder if you could close the ominously open black doorway behind you. Is there any chance you could do that so I can pay attention to what you're saying, as opposed to the chance that a hand is going to come creeping around that doorway? Those are my bugboos, but I think you know what I mean. If you are filming, you have 360 degrees to choose from in whatever room you're in. Surely there is an angle that does not have a mysterious stranger standing there silently, half out of view of the camera. Surely there is an angle that doesn't have a fly-blown, teetering stack of empty pizza boxes with scum dripping off it. Surely you can prepare yourself with the book you're talking about, the lighting, just enough so that people are concentrating on you and not on weird distractions. But we'll go to Commandment number 3, which is thou shalt not lie. You will find a version of this in some of the Ten Commandments, some of the commandments in the Old Testament as well, and in other old and new moral codes. It definitely applies to this little corner of BookTube. You shouldn't lie, either about the obvious stuff, like whether or not you've read a book, but also about the more prevalent stuff, which is whether or not you like a book. Which it connects with bandwagon jumping. It's not that much of a problem in this area of BookTube, but it sticks out a country mile when it does. You should be completely honest with your reading experiences. Otherwise, why do this? But we'll get to it. This is not the only time that we're going to be connecting with insincerity. But commandment number 4 is thou shalt connect. This is a social media platform. I'm not saying that you have to go elsewhere, although I would love to get messages from you on Voxer, but I'm a little bit odd, I admit, even in social media. I would not only like to get messages on Voxer, I'd like all of you to come over here for wine and calzones. But it is still a social media platform. So watch other people's videos. Comment on other people's videos. It doesn't have to be slavish. It certainly doesn't have to be artificial. Remember command number 3, thou shalt not lie. And that definitely applies to a later commandment that we're going to see about maybe leaving hyper-enthusiastic comments only on bigger channels. That is actually lying. I know it's the 21st century when if you say something's not a lie, that means it's not a lie, but that's not true. That is actually lying, doing that. What I mean is, just connecting with other people. All of us have seen the weird YouTube channels or even BookTube channels, and even a couple of BookTube channels in this particular little area of BookTube, where the person seems to have made a point of not doing that. They never comment on other videos. They never respond to comments on their own videos. They never do anything like that. They just appear on your screen as videos. I don't understand those people. I don't know what they're hoping to get out of this experience, except maybe money. That's not what this platform is, and you are swimming against the current when you try to make it that way. So commandment number 4 is thou shalt connect. But that moves straight to commandment number 5, which is that thou shalt not network, which is the kind of thing I was talking about, where you're not just connecting in terms of, oh, there's a community out here, a virtual community, an online community, and I can be a part of it if I connect with it. If I watch a video of yours, well, here's a comment. If you comment on one of my videos, maybe I respond to it, or maybe I check out your own channel. Networking is something completely different from that. Networking is the people who leave a perfunctory comment on a video of a much larger channel with a link to their own channel, or an urging, a call to action to link to their own channel, since some comments field don't allow hot links. Networking is people who are clearly working the system and everyone in it for their own advantage. Whether that advantage is building an audience for another venue, like for instance a book, or whether it's building your own channel. I'm angling always to build my own channel because that's what I really care about. I don't really so much care about the things I'm simulating. I care about getting bigger as a channel. That kind of networking is not only immediately obvious, but I think extremely repulsive. So, if you're entering the BookTube sphere, of course you're going to be consulting these 10 Commandments. Don't do that. It's really off-putting. For the one or two people who pretend that they don't find it off-putting, are the people who are doing the same thing, which is just you swimming with sharks. Why would anybody want to do that? Isn't there enough of that elsewhere in the rest of the world that you have to import that here to talk, a bunch of nerds talking about books? But anyway, we go on to commandment number 6, which is thou shalt try. And this is a little bit connected with commandment number 2, but it involves more action than preparation. Thou shalt try means look at the camera, don't mutter, don't mumble, don't get up and leave the camera view for a little while because you've got to feed your pet piranha or answer the door or whatever. If you're going to do that, stop the video and start it again. Also, I would argue that this also applies to egregious amounts of edits. I have seen people over the years, many times, including recently, there are new channels that do this, where the person will start a sentence, the sun was cut bright in the sky, and that led me to think cut. So they'll have 2 or 3 edits in one normal sentence. No one is that bad at talking on camera. No one is. So don't do that. That kind of thing is what I'm talking about here for thou shalt try. I'm not saying be artificial. I'm not saying be fake here. But I am reminding you that you are not talking to yourself. And you're also not talking to friends at a restaurant. There's a public performance element of what you're doing here. You are putting a video out into the world. It will not just be seen by your friends. It will be seen by the public. It will be seen by strangers long after you post it. So, I don't know quite how to put this without it sounding like I'm telling you to be fake. I'm not. But I'm saying there's a certain sharp intake of breath. There's a certain tensing up to game. You've got to have your game on to do this. It doesn't have to be much of a game, obviously. It doesn't have to be much of a game. But you have to be aware of the fact that you have an audience. You don't have to just have viewers. You have an audience. Viewers could be friends and family. An audience will be strangers. So there has to be a little bit of tension is the wrong word because that's going to connote all sorts of negative things that you shouldn't. important to this experience. Trying. There should be an element of trying. Okay, am I ready to make this video? Am I ready to hit record? That's all. It doesn't have to be a huge deal, but and that moves on to the next commandment. Commandment number 7 is thou shalt not work. Remember, this is a hobby. Okay, for 99.9% of the people who do it, it's a hobby, not a soulless grind. I know that is a weird movie and TV induced vision of what all this is like, and I do not get the appeal, but there are a lot of people who wait for that. They want to feel burned out. They want the experience of saying, I gotta make a video. That's the biz, kid. No, that's not the biz. No, that's not. That's a weird Hollywood thing that you're importing to this entirely innocent, entirely hobby experience. So don't work. And by extension, although I'm going to urge you to be patient with this process, if you decide you're going to make a BookTube video and you make 4 videos, and by video number 4, it is work. I don't want to do it. I'm not enthused. I don't know what to say. My own videos bore me. Then stop. This is not a job. This grinding away soullessly, hopelessly, bored and boring in order to get to the point where you're earning 15 cents a month isn't worth it for you or for your viewers. So don't do it. And then commandment number 8 echoes one of the rules in the code of Hammurabi, which is thou shalt be nice. That is actually a very good commandment for BookTube. I didn't mean to. I took my shot at Grammaticus Books because he never makes a video without slurping, and everyone should make videos without slurping. I do not want to hear. There's no reason for it. Trust me. As frail and helpless as you are, I think you can get through 20 minutes of what you thought of the Court of Thorns and Roses without hydrating and eating. I'm pretty sure you can do that. I know you can. I believe in you. You're made of stern enough pioneer stock stuff to get through 20 minutes without a slurp of coffee. Okay. But, which I am violating my own commandment right now, I realize. But commandment number 8 is thou shalt be nice. This is a trite thing to say, but this is a very welcoming community. This little area of BookTube, by and large, is a very welcoming community. There are people who don't like each other, as you will get in any large community, but mostly people do. Mostly people are welcoming, and there's no sense at all coming into such a community loaded for bear. It's not going to work. It defeats the whole purpose. It's you, as the noxious 21st century would say, misreading the room. So come in being nice. You'll find that it gets a lot of response. Commandment number 9 is thou shalt not spend. And this is connected with commandment number 7. This is not a job. This is not an endless sinkhole of money. If I had a dime for every new booktuber in this little area of BookTube, whose videos I've watched, who says, yeah, I wasn't going to start making any videos until I'd, saved up for the ring light or the high-profile mic or this particular digital camera. I sunk a lot of money into this enterprise. It better pay off. No. If I had a dime for every time I've heard someone say that, I'd have a lot of dimes. Don't do that. Don't spend. And I'm not talking just about equipment here. I'm also talking about books. I've seen a number of videos in this year alone, erroneously, in my opinion, talking about the pressure that BookTube puts on people to commercialize the experience of reading. You have to go out and get books. You have to go out and buy books. Now, I know that I'm in a bad position here when it comes to saying that you don't need to do that, since I not only go out and get secondhand books quite often, but I also get books in the mail quite often. So, but I believe that puts me in a better position, not a worse position, to talk about this. You don't need to do that. You don't need to spend money on BookTube. And I believe that at the beginning anyway, when you maybe don't have an audience, maybe you don't have that many subscribers, people pay attention to subscriber number. Maybe you're not in your groove, maybe it's not the kind of thing that you actually enjoy yet. trust me, you will come to enjoy it. Usually. I enjoy the hell out of it. The process of it is genuinely enjoyable. But sometimes before you get to that point, you might think, well, maybe if I pour money into this thing, I'll get better results. That tends not to be true. People in this little area of BookTube are largely tuning in for you, not for your tech. So don't do it. So don't spend money that you wouldn't otherwise have spent. If you're going to go to a library book sale, and you were going to go anyway, and spend like a drunken sailor, then go right ahead. But don't do that for BookTube. That will sour the experience faster than almost anything. And that leads us to the final commandment of the Ten Commandments of BookTube. And that is, thou shalt join. Which it ought to have been commandment number 1, because it comes before all the others. And it's the one that I always insist on before all the others. All the others you can work out in the test phase. You can shakedown cruise them as you're going along. But this is the first one, which is that if you're watching BookTube and thinking about trying it, you should do it. You should try it. I don't know about the rest of BookTube, the so-called bigger BookTube channels, but this area of BookTube, if you're watching this video, you are in exactly the right ecosystem. This area of BookTube is extremely welcoming. It is an extremely soft landing. If you're watching these videos, if through my channel or through other channels you are watching the usual suspects, the roundup of suspects, that you could rattle off 24 names, so could I. Some of them drop off the radar for a little bit of time. Some of them come back on the radar for a little bit of time. But they're the old familiar faces, the people that you visit with who talk books on BookTube, on this area of BookTube. If you're watching that every day and you're loving it, and you're thinking in the back of your head, I wish I could join that, do it. Do it. I felt the same way. Years and years ago, I felt the same way. I was watching the channels that existed then and thinking, boy, I would love to join that. Nobody can ever have too many bookish communities in their lives. I would love to join that, but of course I can't. I don't have any idea how to do the technology. I don't know anything about the memes or the in-house conversations or anything like that. It would be awkward and no one would be interested in it. That turned out to be wrong. That always turns out to be wrong. If you are in that position, if you're watching this, give it a try. Thou shalt join. As I always say, if you start making videos and telling people about it so that people know you're out there, tell them about it. Don't network. Leave a comment on a video of a BookTuber you've been watching for a year. You can leave a comment on their channel saying something about the video. This was fascinating, or that was fascinating, or I disagree with you about this. And I made a video about this, or I might make one on my own channel. No link, just that. That will allow both the BookTuber and everybody in the comments field to know, oh, this person's a BookTuber. They'll check you out. You also might want to make a BookTube newbie tag, because people search for those. But once you start doing that and getting at least a beginning sense of what this community is that all these BookTubers that you watch every day talk about, unironically and unprompted by each other, once you do it and you get a sense for it and you get a feel for what kind of conversations are available here and who's hearing them, if at that point you say, well, okay, I gave it a try, I now know what it is all about, and I don't want to do it for whatever reason, then you can stop and you can take your videos down. But you should try it. You absolutely should try it. I guarantee you have sufficient equipment around you to do this. It is easy to do. All you have to do is follow these commandments. That's all. Take a moment to check what you look like. What you yourself look like. Obviously, I'm in no position to talk about that. But do you have a steam pipe right here? Do you have something that is obviously wrong with your setup that a moment's thought, just a moment's configuring would fix? Take that moment to figure it out. Okay, you've got 4 books that you want to make a video about. Take a moment. I'm not saying work from a script. I'm saying take a moment to concentrate your thought on what it is you want to say. Nothing more than that, but take that moment. And once you're making the video, remember you are talking to an audience. You want to make eye contact. You want to not mumble. You want to not mutter. You want to not slurp. Constantly slurping. Because you're the stereotypical New Yorker cartoon of a ragged guy crawling through the desert. No. You're not. You can go 20 minutes without hydrating. I guarantee you can. If you're looking at this and thinking that you want to do it, first of all, ignore all of these commandments except the one about being nice. But these are my commandments, and I can do what I like. Take a moment, frame it, set it up, give it a try, put on your game face, and make a video. We all want to see it. You don't have to have anything new or unprecedented, no trails to blaze. You don't have to do anything like that. You don't have to buy a book. Do you go to your library? Did you find something, a little free library? Do you already have a library? Already have books on your shelves? Do you pull down one and talk about it? That will work. That will work just fine. We're here for you, not for a bombardment of new titles. But anyway, so there you go. Those are the 10 Commandments of BookTube plus 3 laws. So we'll see what you make of these. What do you all make of these? I'm sure that I'm in the minority when it comes to a couple of these, especially the slurping, since that appears to be very popular. But I'm standing by it. Anyway, I come from a generation in which that would have been considered extremely unprofessional. Now, I know we're not doing anything professional here, but still, it's not completely private and informal. You are filming yourself. Anyway. So what do you think of these commandments? Do you have any BookTube rules or laws or commandments of your own? If you're then maybe not so much for viewers, although I bet those of you who are just viewers probably have a long laundry list of things that you like and don't like. Little tics and pet peeves. And you booktubers out there, have you developed commandments of your own? Laws of your own? What do you think of these? And Grammaticus's? I'd love to hear about it. Of course, this is so much fun to do. I think mainly the main reason that it's fun to do is because it's all in fun. There aren't any rules here. For every rule that I've listed, there's a great channel that breaks every one of them. But nevertheless, Steve is always right. I didn't put that on the list, but Steve is always right. Anyway, the Bean and I are going to sign off for now, but we'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.